All right, guys, we're back. It's Parcine MMA show. Today, we're recapping UFC 298. We had some good fights last night. Pretty good night. Ended off with Volk getting knocked out by Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria is the new featherweight champ. That's the biggest news of the night. And below that, like I just said, we had a lot of good fights. So we're going to talk about that. But let's first dig in to Ilia Topuria being the new featherweight king, dethroning Alex Volkanovski. How do you guys feel about that?
I think Alex should kick this off.
Yeah, I was just telling you guys before this. Like, I try not to gloat. I was trying not to be a complete a-hole on social media last night, but couldn't resist a little bit. I did a little bit of lap of victory here. I have been a low-key Volkanovski hater for a little while. That's not that I don't think he's a great fighter, because he absolutely is. That's not what I'm saying. It's just that we have this recency bias in the sport where now and it's going to happen again, by the way, folks. Ilia Topuria now is going to be, he's the GOAT. Everyone's the GOAT, apparently. They win one or two fights in a row. Oh, this guy is better than every other guy that ever existed. That's not how it works. Like, it's about like consistency over time. If we look at Jose Aldo, yes, he lost catastrophically to Conor McGregor. But after that, he rebounded with some really good fights back at his weight class. Then he dropped down a weight class, challenged for the title, finished a bunch of people, finished Jeremy Stevens, finished Moicano. He did amazing things even down a weight class, and it was Petr Yan who was able to put him out, right? And keep in mind, when he fought Volkanovski, it was competitive, even though he was long past his prime. They were just like holding each other against the fence, because Aldo's very difficult to control. He's hard to take down, obviously, yes. So that fight kind of turned into a stalemate, and it's similar to Merab versus Aldo. But we get this thing where it's like all these old goats, well, they're all trash. You know, Volkanovski beat an aging Chad Mendes, who also dropped Volk during that fight. And he did put him out, though. That was, to me, that's like savage, early, young Volk. He does well against Aldo, and he goes on his streak. Now, Volkanovski lost the second fight against Max, but he was gifted a decision. That's my opinion. A lot of people didn't agree. First fight, I think he won. Third fight, he dominated Max. And I think the way that those fights lined up, it just, you know, we love Max. He's beloved, and he is one of the GOATs. And no doubt, I think you can put Volk in the conversation of some of the best ever. But it's a little bit inflated. It's this thing where, you know, Islam fights to the level of his opponent. He always has. Islam lets people back into the fight sometimes by doing it. He's not like Khabib. Khabib's like, you see him talking to Cejudo. He's like, why are you not wrestling, brother? Just wrestle. Why are you using strikes? I'm going to take the fight where I'm strongest. So in that fight, I think we also got this feeling where it's like, oh my God, he took him to the very end of the division. He actually dropped him. It was an incredible performance, but he had great coaching. He had Craig Jones in his corner to help him deal with the grappling and get butterfly hooks. So here we saw a guy who is better on the ground. He is a black belt. His brother's a black belt. That's how they got into MMA. And then, you know, I'm speaking of Topuria and his brother. And he's also got lights out power on the feet. And you could see it was a great game plan in the first round. Volk was doing really well. What did you guys think about that body kick that he was throwing? That was a cool little idea, huh?
It was impressive. But I think I was in and out of this fight, as I told you guys before the show.
You passed out.
Late. It was late. There were a lot of decisions in this main card. And the later it got, the harder it was to stay focused on these fights. I did watch it this morning, though, on YouTube. There was a stream. It was cut up a little bit. Every 5 seconds it would glitch, so I caught parts of the fight. But I just think Volk, I don't think he poses much of a threat, to be honest with you. He finished Yair Rodriguez, okay, you know, good. But a lot of his wins, like Ortega, that was just a decision that, honestly, the highlight of that Ortega fight was the fact that he didn't get submitted. That's what everyone remembers from that fight, is he survived 2 deep submissions. Of course, he did a lot of damage to Ortega, but those are the 2 moments that stood out to everyone. So I think he's dominant. He's skilled, of course. He's fast. He's sharp. Everywhere he's good at. There's not a weak spot in his game. But as a champion, he's like Adesanya. He just wins by decision. And it just gets kind of boring. And people just kind of like, they like Volk because he's a great guy. But it's not because he puts on the best shows. Fight every fight, you know, fight in, fight. Like, he's just kind of a boring champion. And I think Ilia is going to bring some excitement. I think he's sharp. I think he has a little bit of flavor to him. Like he'll talk some shiz and back it up. But he's a little bit cringy. We saw from the press conference. He has the same tattoos as McGregor. He did the same thing during the press conference as McGregor trying to take the belt. So he has that little bit to him, like an Ian Garry kind of thing. But I think he'll be a good champion. I think he'll be fun to watch. He's exciting. He keeps on the feet. He trades. And he's 27 years old, so he'll be in there for a long time.
Yeah. One more thing about Volk, though. I think I partially agree with you. I think that there's really nothing super special about him. Like, I think he's just a MMA fighter. Like, he doesn't really have a background. He won most of his fights by being like the over aggressor, and that does not work when you're going against a guy like Ilia Topuria, where that's his game plan as well. But he also has a way better skill than Alex does, and that's on the feet. So that's where that came into play. And I don't think Alex even had a chance to be the over aggressor in this fight like he has been in the past. Like you said, even with Islam, Alex was able to be aggressive later in the fight. He was able to like use his game plan. So I think that's why maybe people like him, is just because he's just this dude who's good at MMA. He's nothing super special about him, except that he just has like the heart in him when he goes out there and fights. So, but that's where he ran into like the issue, is that he basically lost. Like, Ilia was always one step ahead of him, it seemed like, and Alex said they had something planned out. But I mean, what are you going to plan against a guy who's better than you and just way more aggressive, better on the feet? Like Alex said, black belt when you get on the ground. So I don't know what they had planned or what he said he was going to try to do, but I know a lot of the Volk fans were like, oh, he won the first round, because he did win the first round. Apparently it's the judges, but dude, that doesn't mean anything once you get knocked out. So
what do you guys think? What do you guys? Yeah, go ahead. I thought you were done.
No, you're good. I was just saying it's sad to see, because I was a Volk fan, because I just liked him, because he's just a dude, He's just this guy.
He's
a good guy. He's a good MMA fighter.
He is.
But like you said, there's nothing super special.
And he is a good guy. And the worst thing you want to see from these guys that we're big fans of is they go too long. He's 35. He's got 2 knockout losses in a row. He wants to get a rematch in Spain. I don't know what I think about that, but do you think he's going to be one of those guys like Tony where he sticks around way too long because there's nothing else that he wants to do?
Yeah.
Except fight and train?
I think it's that cautionary tale of one of my all-time guys, BJ Penn. BJ was, I won't even go off on that. It would take us hours. He's incredible. But what he did was he stuck around. I'm talking like a decade or so, even more past his prime. And he left with like, who knows? I forget the streak, how many in a row. It was really hard to watch, man. He even came back and fought Ryan Hall and got heel hooked in like 30 seconds. And I watched that. I was like, dude, BJ, let me remember you as who you were. You were a force of nature. And so is Volk. Volk's a force of nature, man. He's incredible. It's just, he is one of those guys. Like, he immediately, you see, was asking for the rematch in Spain. Like, I don't know if we need that right now. I think we need him to go back to the drawing board and get his brain healthy. Take like 8 to 10 months or even more off. Go ahead, dude. You deserve it. You earn this. Like, take the time off and do something else for a minute. Spend some time with the kids.
I think you realize, though, it's now or never, because in 3 years at his weight class, his division, you can't go to your late 30s, man. And heavyweight maybe, but he has maybe 2 years max, and he's done, dude. So I think he's trying to get as many fights in as he can.
Make some
before
money.
It's too late.
Yeah. The stats under 35 years old is horrible. Like, only a couple people have won over 35 under 170 pounds. Yeah. Yeah,
under
135. Under 170. I think Tyron Woodley is the only one who has won and beat someone younger than him. It might be like Tyron Woodley or somebody else. So yeah, I think that he just said that out of like desperation and marketing, almost just to be like, give me something, because I don't have much time left.
But it was sensational. I mean, watching the way he collapses space, he'll strike with you a little bit, draw a combination in response, and lower his stance and shift into you. As he's shifting into you, he feels you with his left hand, and that's when it's time. And you saw this was an exact almost repeat of the Jai Herbert knockout. It was crazy. He kind of pressured him up against the fence and touched him with that left hand after throwing like a 3-piece. That right hand, I mean, the follow-up shots, they were respectful. I don't think he put too many on. I think it was only 2 or 3 before the ref jumped in. And there was this really interesting moment where Ilia gets up and walks away. And you see in his face, it took him a second to fully realize that it happened. He was like, and then his coach runs in and hugs him and he starts smiling. Like there was a moment where you could tell he was like, I can't believe it. I can't believe I actually did that. And that's kind of like a special moment, man, to live through these things, man, to see Aldo get starched by Conor in that way. It's just like there's these certain moments like where Anderson got knocked out by Chris Weidman. These are the moments that make people love the sport so much. It's just, it's chaos. Speaking of moments that really make people love the sport is when the UFC consistently cuts to Layla in the crowd at any time that Ian Garry does something good. I was thinking Brad must be steaming right now. That fight was probably the slowest of the night. You know, Geoff Neal had his moments, but ultimately lost a little bit on just getting outpointed. How do we feel about this?
Geoff Neal disappointed me, man. Well, bro. Like, first of all, he's Ian Garry circling the cage, and Geoff Neal is just like following his ass, like cut him off or something, bro. And then when he gets him cut off, he just stands there and like stares in his eyes. Like, okay, you got him now. Now go for it. Throw a combination. But no, he just wants to look at him and glaze in his eyes. And
wasn't it weird that Layla was sitting like by herself in that little pocket chair?
Yeah,
like,
I thought.
Like what are you doing?
Intentional.
Thing.
Very.
I wasn't going to say that. I was thinking maybe I'm the only one they realizing this is kind of weird.
She had a special press row.
The camera was on her. It was like she didn't know what to do, so she was like happy and like
yeah,
doesn't look weird.
She was by herself, dude. Like she had her own camera, man. It was like, what is going on?
Something's not adding up here.
It's controversy.
But he did good. He did good. He's fast. I mean, I'll give it to him. He's fast. He's skilled. I think Colby Covington would be a good fight for Ian, not for Colby.
What about?
We'll see if that happens or not.
What about Ian and Leon? Like, I think that would actually be a really good fight. Similar
Come on,
titles.
man. We can't give him a title shot yet. No, Ian's not.
I'm saying in the future,
shot.
though.
Please,
what about that
God.
matchup?
1 or 2 more fights.
What about that matchup?
Yeah, he has probably 2 more fights.
Yeah, as much as you hate Ian, like that
would be a decision that it's like a Bilal versus Leon fight, or Bilal versus anybody. It's going to go to decision. Those 2 guys are going to go to decision. It's going to be a boring point striking fight.
True.
That I don't really want to watch because I don't. Yeah, it's just like it's going to be a karate fight. And
this is why 170 it's in a weird spot right now because Dana said this morning on social media that they offered Leon 3 different opponents for 300. Every single opponent he immediately said yes to. Leon's a stud, man. Listen, don't forget about that, man. He's a great fighter. It's just he's super technical. And I think what's weird is who were all these people who turned it down?
Yeah, there's not many options.
Yeah.
Bilal. I mean, I don't think Usman would deny that. I don't think they want to fight him. They don't want to have that fight again. So I don't. Who's other options?
Bilal had to be one. Bilal had to be one. But then Bilal's on social media saying, "I'll fight on Ramadan. I'll fight on Christmas. I'll fight on my mom's birthday." Like whatever he said. Like, okay, well, fight, bro.
Dude, like
do it. I don't know. Maybe.
Like we watched this sport rig religiously. Like we can't even think of 3 people that would want to fight. Like good fights. Like who else is there at 170 that we want to see fight? Yeah.
I can't even
off the top of your head. Like you have to go back in the rankings and look. Like okay, Shavkat, Bilal, Usman. Am I missing somebody?
Bro, if Ian Garry gets a title shot next, I'm gonna be shitting.
You're gonna go back to sleep.
No, but I was thinking. UFC 300. Okay, they haven't announced it yet. Zuck is in the building. Where is Elon? Like,
dude, let's go.
If they bring Elon and Zuck in the middle of the cage, UFC 300 is announced. Bro, come on. I was waiting.
Let's go.
We could talk about 300 in a second, but I want to touch on Paulo Costa and Robert Whittaker, like just real quick.
Oh yeah.
How'd you guys feel about that fight?
Costa looks great, man. I'm so happy for him. I really think this is emboldening to me about him because I had doubts. People had doubts that they were saying, oh, he has to be dragged kicking and screaming into the fights now. Maybe he's just fighting for the money. I disagree. I think that he's still a contender. And I think more so than that, let's just look at this. with the exception of the Izzy fight, Yoel Romero, the fight last night against Robert Whittaker, the Luke Rockhold fight, whatever you want to say, every time he's in there, it's a really exciting, insane fight. Like he just goes in there and slugs. Like even the Vettori fight was, he got an entertaining fight out of Marvin Vettori. It's an act of God. You know, the special juice is real. So bottom line here, man, he put on a show. His head kick is real quick. It's weird. He was snapping it up there so fast for a giant guy. And there was a moment, had there been a couple of more seconds in that round, where Robert Whittaker was about to get maybe piled on against the fence. He got that
wheel kick or heel kick.
Saved by the bell.
Truly.
I saw him.
No, but did you see in the – go ahead.
Oh, you're good. You're just lagged for a second. Go ahead. You're good.
I was saying in the embedded videos, when they were showing him training, he was going for that high kick over and over. Pre-fight, when he's warming up, the camera goes to him, high kick. He's just doing the same kick. But he knew something was there. He didn't get it. He got the heel kick, the spinning kick, but he didn't get just the regular kick. But I was surprised by Robert Whittaker. Usually he's a boring fighter. At least when he fights Izzy 1,000 times, he's a boring fighter. But I don't know if it's Paulo Costa brought the fight to him or he just came out with aggression after losing to DDP. I don't know, but I like that Robert Whittaker that we saw. He was aggressive and he was going after it, which I hope he sticks to that same strategy moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was hitting him with 3 pieces. He was doing work.
He looked snappy, dude.
Yeah.
He looked like he was actually very serious about this fight, which was cool to see.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that he can act like this for the next fights. And his physique looked better, and that's hard to say about Costa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he always looks great, but here he looked a little bit more cardio. Like even in the 3rd round, he was moving around strong. And cardio, kind of the story of the night, man, because we had Merab Dvalishvili versus Henry Cejudo. Henry came into this fight, man, game, and he hit him with that one clean shot, and I was like, oh, we're in trouble. They were wrestling a little bit back and forth. He was able to hold him down at the very end of the round, but that was not a shade of things to come. That is not the cloth from which he is cut, to quote John.
I know Cejudo wanted 5 rounds. I think if you ask him that same question in round 3, he'll say, hell no. Give me 3 rounds. I'm going to get out of here. Bro, Merab would have taken him so far deep in the water, he would have been toast, man. And he did say also, and this goes back to Volk, like, I don't know if Volk thinks the same way, but Cejudo said, if I'm not fighting for a title, I don't want to be fighting in the UFC. He loses again. I mean, he's probably 2 or 3 fights away from a title. Do you think he sticks around? I think he's done, to be honest with you.
I don't know. He took his gloves off, and he apparently didn't get an interview because Dana said that was Merab's moment, which I agree with. But Henry, I feel like Henry deserves a little bit more respect. But
yeah,
it was Merab's moment, and he dominated that fight. I think Henry probably just took the gloves off. You know how he is. He's kind of like an act, and like some of these fighters take them off sometimes just automatically, and then we just assume just because he's an older fighter that it's because he's retiring. So I don't know about that. But man, Rob is dude. This guy, I think he's the future champ. I think he can take down Suga. I really do. And I'm just kind of a Suga hater. I'm not the biggest fan of Suga's personality, but I really think Merab's cardio can carry him through the 5 rounds to take Suga out. I mean, he's gonna watch out. He's gonna have to watch out for the striking because we did see Henry clip Merab. So he has a chin, but Sean O'Malley, I don't know if Sean O'Malley hits you with that. That might be a little different. So I'm excited to see 299 what the outcome of that is, and then Merab, where he goes from there.
Yeah, great fight though. It was a great fight, and I think 135 is a marquee division. It's probably my favorite division right now, actually, because every single fight is insane, and everybody there is just like on fire. Everyone's so fast and so diverse with their techniques. It's like nonstop action. That's the thing. I don't want to see people gas. I'm so sick of that. It's like I want to see where it's consistently competitive. And Merab in that last round, man, when he had that power guillotine, he was trying to shoot for a high elbow power guillotine, and he's talking trash to Zuck. I'm like, dude, this is so funny. And honorable mentions, I think, of the night. We had Fluffy Hernandez just turning back Kopylov. Kopylov looked sharp too, man. He looked great. His takedown defense looked good. So no hate on him, man. I have mad respect for him. He did well, but Fluffy's one of those guys that he reminds me of a Diaz brother. He's not in the like greatest aesthetic looking shape of all time, hence the nickname, but he just has a gas tank forever. And if you can't put him out, he's going to just keep coming. He's going to keep dragging you down to the ground. When he was smiling on that rear naked choke, it was a nice little opener to the card. It was a great way to start the night. Honorable mention as well. Can one of you guys just fill me in on this Dern fight against Lemos? I mean, it was kind of exciting.
Yeah, I'll quickly cover it and then we'll wrap it up. Dude, I mean, Dern, I thought the first round, how it started, how the whole fight would end up being. But I was wrong, dude. Mackenzie, like, she's tough as hell, man. Like, dude, she got cracked like twice, I think, in that first or second round.
Yeah.
And she covered up. The first time I've seen her cover up like that. I told you guys during the fight, I was like, usually she'll try to play a play guard, use her jiu-jitsu. But for this time, she was just like covering. And her eye, her nose, everything looked busted up. All of a sudden, she gets a second life, and she comes out in the third round, pumps the crowd up, and comes out with a big overhand right. And I think she dropped Lemos. If she didn't, she had her stunned. And won the third round. But it was a close fight. I had Lemos my best bet, so I'm glad she won. But Mackenzie Dern impressed me, and I thought that first round was how the whole fight would go, but she proved me wrong.
She's got the dog in her.
Yeah. She lost the fight, but she didn't really lose too much out of that. I think she earned a lot of respect. Even Dana mentioned in the post-fight conference that he has a lot of respect for her, and he was surprised. Like, he checked with the medical staff that she had to be transferred to the hospital. Apparently, she didn't even have to do that. So she's tough.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I still had to see her train with the actual team, not just her dad's jiu-jitsu. But get her in the team, man. She needs, if she gets some training, she can be good. She just needs someone to guide her.
I feel like there's a running theme. Yeah. I feel like there's a running theme on this show where there's some of these fighters that we agree if they went to like a top team, a Kill Cliff, somewhere like that they would be better fighters. I feel like I can't name them specifically, but we brought that up a lot of times. And she's definitely one of those people that could use an actual team and a good structure around her.
Yeah. So
it's just about taking it serious.
Like Eric Nixon, what he could do with her striking.
Oh. Yeah, tighten it up, give her a jab instead of just swinging overhands, because there is something there. She's got power, which is the interesting thing. She's a jiu-jitsu player, and she drops people consistently. But other good stuff on this card. There was some stuff sprinkled out throughout the prelims. We'll be also hitting you guys with some other content this week with some upcoming best bets for UFC Mexico City, I want to say it is. Yair Rodriguez versus Brian Ortega, the rematch, part 2. Make sure to check us out on all our socials. Subscribe on YouTube. Get us everywhere. Simon, you got anything to wrap us up with?
No, just be on the lookout for all the videos, the clips. You see above me, we got the Instagram, Twitter. Then we got the subscribe button right there, like Alex said. So if you guys want to subscribe, check us out. We're posting more and more. We got a lot of good fights coming up. We got 299. We got a lot of fight nights, and then we got 300 down the road. So it's all going to come up quick. So we'll see you guys next time. Peace.